everybody, welcome back to another episode of Pullbox Pals. I'm your pal Matt, and as always, next to me is my pal Monk. How you doing, Monk?
I'm always going to be next to you.
Heck
Me and
yeah.
you, we're going to be in
Ride
some
or die.
foxhole somewhere. That's right, baby. Ride or die. All the way to the comic shop, just bumping that nasty thug beat that at the beginning of this.
Yeah.
Boom, boom. You know how it goes.
Yep.
But how you doing, my friend?
That's our thug beat right there.
That is our thug beat. I've been watching the show Snowfall. I don't know if you know the show Snowfall. It's about
Heard of it. I haven't watched it. No.
It's very good. It's about the crack epidemic in like the 1980s and how that all happened in the CIA and all that stuff. So there is a part of me that's just like been feeling a little bit more like gangsta lately, which is, you know, probably not the best thing for the whitest man in the world. No. But what are you going to do living in these Appalachian hills? But enough about me. What's been going on with you? You've been watching anything lately or do anything to your body lately?
Well, I guess to answer both. I've been watching some stuff. All caught up on like The Witcher. Like there's more episodes coming out like next week. Yeah, like which it was a book from.
Yeah, and I'm aware what it is. I didn't know you were into it.
There's a video game. I mean, I haven't played the video games or read the book.
Sure.
I'm just a big fan of Henry, and that's how I got into it.
Well, you know he's being replaced, right?
Yeah, I know. I don't know if I'm going to continue watching it after.
That's fair. I don't think a lot of people are. I mean, who knows?
I mean, it's not like the greatest show, but I mean, it's enjoyable. So I've been watching that, and then I've been keeping up with Secret Invasion as it's been releasing.
What have you been thinking about that? We really don't talk about it.
Yeah,
about Marvel stuff, but I would love to hear what you know. Also, we need to get back to the fact that I said something about doing something to your body, or else I'm just going to sound like a weird person. That is relevant, but we're putting a pin in it for now.
Yeah, we'll get there. I've really enjoyed Secret Invasion. I mean, I reread the series, 8 issues or whatever it is. Like not too soon before the first episode aired. And I knew that the show wasn't going to be anything like the comic in terms of like, we're going to bring all the heroes and they're all going to be a part of this. But it's really just like Nick Fury and all of his business and
business.
And it's just like the whole spy espionage, like secret war thing going on. Like I've really been digging it. It is like, it's a little bit like slower paced, but like it's fitting to what genre it is.
Agreed.
So I haven't heard a lot of people say that they hate it, other than they don't like the intro because it was done by AI. But
yeah, I mean
that was a creative. It was a creative choice by the people to be like kind of give that kind of weird vibe of we don't really know what's going on.
Sure, but I will say that is a good justification. That does not make it good. Yeah, like, it can be an artistic choice, you know. Like I'm mostly against AI, but a friend of mine did say, you know, AI is the new paintbrush. Like you can do things with it that you couldn't do before, but it needs to be good stuff, you know. Like all because you can like build a catapult that shoots your own poop back at you doesn't mean you should, you know.
No.
So
and I absolutely agree. Like I'm not like a huge honestly I'm not really. I don't have a foot on either side of the fence or whatever about the use of AI. I don't personally use it. I understand it affects people's jobs, so like that's not cool, but like a lot of stuff that can be done with AI is also super cool. So it's just, I don't know, it's up in the air.
I mean, my favorite meme about it, and I think the best thing that could be said is like, why doesn't AI like do like stacking boxes and like pouring things, like do the jobs that are more manual labor focused instead of leaving all the like AI to just be like, let me create your art, because a lot of the people who do manual jobs would love to be doing the art. So it's like we need to switch the focus of which it is currently on. But anyways, this isn't the AI allies.
No, not even close.
No, not this is the Pullbox Pals. But I want to know what happened to you.
So I finally started doing home inspections, and a house I was doing last week, I was in the crawl space, and the vapor retarder was down, which is good. You know,
Yeah, of course.
Satisfactory, checked off there. That's great. But what you don't know is what's under the vapor retarder. And so this house is also supported by columns underneath because it's a pretty big house. And so they have like the concrete foundations for the columns to go up and help support the floor. And there was some unused concrete underneath the vapor retarder. So just like sitting in a dried pile. And I went to shift onto my elbows to snap a photo. And when I did that, all of my body weight that was on the left side of my ribs went on top of that dried pile of concrete. And super glamorously, they just all cracked. Whoa. And it made me feel like, for one, just like super old. And then also like, well, this is a new experience. But yeah, my ribs approaches you. My ribs have been killing me for a few days now. They're getting better, but like I also had to miss out on my softball game last night because of my stinking dang ribs.
Wait, you're in a softball league?
Yeah, I'm on a softball team.
I didn't know this.
League. Yeah,
I found out another person I work with is on a softball league. My goodness.
Yeah,
my dad was on a softball league.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, you should get in on it, man. You say you like baseball, so
I do too many things. But yeah, I mean, I would love to be more involved. I would love to go to baseball games. You know, I need to be more healthy. Our dog got spayed today, and we found out that she's overweight. So I need to start like running around with her more. You know, So that's that. And so just a fair warning: at any point, I might have to run out because to tend to said dog. Just FYI for anybody watching live. But yeah. Oh, look at that. Our new buddy John swung on through, said, dude, how you doing? We are both doing pretty good.
We're doing
Matt's
pretty
in
good.
rough shape. I'm also
minus the ribs.
Yeah, I'm worried about my pups, but there's no time to worry when there's comic book chit chat to be had. Correct?
Yeah, man. So did you make it to your shop today?
I did get to make it to my shop today.
Heck yeah, what'd you get?
I also just wanted to say that I got to see our pal Andy there, which is always a lovely little treat for me. Yeah, so just shout out to him. He's a good pal. He was on, 3 episodes ago?
Wow. 3 episodes ago. If you include this one, I think he was episode 54.
Time just flies when you are gripping it and ripping it.
Heck yeah.
Well,
it's the only way to live.
Speaking of a couple of weeks ago, this first one came out a couple weeks ago. And I guess I just missed it, which is a bum because I've been looking forward to it for a while, which, you know, I'm a little embarrassed myself that I missed it. But Good Deeds, Dark Spaces, Wildfire, Good Deed, not Dark Spaces, Wild. You know what I mean?
Words.
Issue number 2 about a family who just inherited a diner down in Florida and some other kind of spooky stuff.
Wait, that came out today?
No, this came out several weeks ago.
And that's issue 2?
Yeah.
Huh. How'd I miss that? I thought I told my shop I was pulling that.
Well, maybe it's one of those like great mysteries. Like, I don't know what else to compare it to. The Bermuda Triangle? I don't know.
It's all right. There's a couple of things I'm going to see if Frank has today. And
good old Frank. Shout out to Coffee and the Comics. We just definitely talked over each other very well, but maybe we'll do it with this comic as well. Flies.
I got that right here. Good old Jeff Lemire.
Yeah,
I love the back cover. How it like has like a coffee stain on it.
Oh, it's hilarious that you said that because when I was holding it up, I'm like, oh man, you got a mark on it already. But yeah, thank God you pointed that out, or else I would have been embarrassed. I mean, but just opening it up right now, like this looks like classic Lemire, and that was the reason I got it. I was kind of on the fence, but I'm just like, dude, it's like I feel like. And I don't want to read in. This is definitely my projection onto it, but I feel like it's Lemire being like, "Hey, I know I've been swinging for a lot of fences lately, but here's just one for
here's just me.
Here's me, you know, like, and it's a thick boy. Is this a one shot? Do you know?
No, I believe it's a series. I don't know how many.
It's a whole. Okay,
let me check. I have the secret source page open for it right now. So
okay, you check it out, and then I'm gonna go ahead and
there's 4 issues.
4 issues. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, if they're all that beefy, that's going to be one beefy time.
There's some time gaps too. It's not monthly. It's so the next one comes out in September, and then November, and then the last one comes out in January.
Okay, that's not terrible, because I feel like it's going to take me that long to read this comic. This is like a kind of a small week for me. I think I only got 5 comics, but like my to read pile is growing. So like I wasn't really that upset as I was walking around, and there was like some stuff I wanted to grab, but like I'm just like, you're not gonna stay on it if you're not like reaching for it now. Then like why do you think you're gonna want to read it then? But it looks like our buddy John said, I bought this comic, 2 of them, called Laura, from the artist of Batman and Joker. I bought this 1 and 2. It's any good? They just came in. Batman and Joker, volume 1 and 2, I would assume. I don't know. I've never read that. Have you? That might be something that I feel like you would have tapped into more.
Possibly. I guess it would depend on like when it was released. I mean, the most recent Batman I've read is like the first 10 issues of Zdarsky's run, but I haven't kept up with that, and then I haven't read a lot before that. But
right.
I mean,
well, I would say
Batman it's hard not to have a good time with a Batman comic.
Right. That's what I was going to say. It's kind of like that thing that you hear about, like pizza, even when it's bad, it's still not like it's still good.
Yeah.
I think like regardless, like you get good artists on Batman, you get like interesting stories. So at least like I would say do page through it. You bought them, like at least sit with them for a while.
What creator is going to say no to? I mean, I'm sure there have been because of just conflict with other things, but like if people have the opportunity to do Batman, I'm pretty sure they take that opportunity.
Yeah, or well, here's the counter to that would be that you wouldn't want to potentially do something like that's so sacred, like I could see people turning it down because they're like, I'm not ready. I think that's probably been something that would happen, but you know what I mean?
If you're on good merit and you've proven yourself that you think you can write Batman and you're given that opportunity, I don't know why you would say no to that. I mean, I'm never going to be writing a Batman comic, but I would if I had skills for it.
That's true. That's a great point. But something that's similar to a Batman comic that I'm hoping you also picked up, and this has been coming like right as rain. Good old The Nightmare Before Christmas #4.
Yeah, so since I missed out,
sad.
Well, no, I asked my shop to get me the trade when it comes out, since I kind of missed the boat on getting the first 2 issues, and I didn't want to have to deal with like waiting and then catching up. So I figured I'll just get it all at once in the trade.
I have to say this has probably been like secretly one of my favorite comics that's on like currently out. Like I've just been really enjoying it. Like it gives me that, like we talk about this a bunch, is like that feeling of like, yay, it's on the shelf, like that little kid.
Yeah.
And seeing that up there today, I was just like, oh yeah, like I'm loving this story. It is very much like directed towards kids, which I'm totally fine with because like it is for kids. And so like I'm not one of those people that's like, this needs to be like adult because I'm an adult and this was something that was out when I was a kid, Yeah. I'm allowing this to be for kids because why would I not want the younger generation to continue on with this? Like some of the people complain that like, and I might be one of them, that the Mario movie wasn't too like adult friendly, or at least it tried to be in some weird ways, where they had a really existential star from Galaxy that was definitely for the adults, and I don't think any of the adults liked it because it's like, oh, too real, man, turn that down. But yeah, I can't even remember where I was going with all this. It's good for the younger generation to have these things, so even if that was more directed as kids, like why would you not want kids to be into Mario? That's only going to help his legacy sustain. I heard this quote this week that I love that I've just been sitting with me, that's almost nowhere near relevant, but it is, gods die when the people forget them. And that's how I feel about Mario. So if people forget Mario, he's gone. That's just how it works. We're here making the whole thing. Anyways, so for like I can't. It feels like the past like 3 or 4 weeks, even I've been getting two like Scout Comics like number ones at my shop, and it's just been great. So like, shout out to Scout because we really love that company.
Well,
So
I got one of those.
Okay, let me just say I got Death Comes for the Toy Maker #1, and dude, how stoked are you on this? I hope this is the one you got. Oh, thank the heavens!
I'm so excited for this.
Midnight Western Theater Witch Trial. Yeah, for those of you that have been following us since the beginning, like we've talked about this probably on episode 1. It's back there on my wall back there. Midnight Western Theater. The first run was just phenomenal, and we ate it up and we loved it.
Yeah, so if you haven't checked that out, you can just pop over to Scout Comics and get the digital for it or order the hard copy. I'm sure it's on. I think it is on the Omnibus app. So if you have that, you can get it there. But no, it's definitely worth the read. So this new one, it's out. I'm excited. I'll probably be reading it first on this new pile that I got. So
yeah, I would imagine that that's pretty similar for me. But man, I'm excited to get back here and talk with you about it, for better or for worse, next week. But it's still like the art looks just as good as I remember. Like, looks like there's new threats and new spookiness. Like, so stoked. So
love
stoked.
spookiness.
Love spookiness. Love this.
I love a good spooky comic.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, and then the Death Comes from the Toy. Death Comes for the Toy Maker. I don't really know that, but looked interesting. There's like this goat man, like a goat demon thing attacking like this, like, I don't know, some sort of man with a fun hat. I'm mostly drawn to the hat. But yeah, so I'm excited to see whatever the heck that's about. But how about you, buddy? Were you able to swing by your LCS?
It sure was. And since you ended on Scout, I'll just start with Scout since I just showed my first Scout. My second Scout is Eternus #6. Man, I love this cover more than the last one.
Dude, that one is dope. That one looks like
right here.
That's like so reminiscent of like, not that one so much. The #6 is very reminiscent of like a VHS cover or a graphic novel. Like I see like a graphic or like a novelization of a movie when I look at that, and I love that. We talk all the time about covers and how, it's an opportunity to do something really cool and not just be like, here's the Flash running for the 1,000th time,
Yeah, so I'm pretty stoked on Eternus. I really, really liked issue 5. It just took some corners that I wasn't expecting, and they were, some were good, some were like bad in like the more sorrowful way, not like bad that like, oh, that sucked, but and yeah, just I don't know. And I just recently read the 5th issue, so I'm, running on the fumes of that one, and so I'm excited for Eternus 6. I don't remember how many issues are coming out in total for it, but
I mean, that seems like it's got to be like close, right?
It's probably getting close. Let me.
I can look while you talk about whatever you got next.
I just had it up right there.
Oh no, what is happening?
Here we go. It looks like 7 issues, so one more after this.
Wow.
And then I got a couple Star Wars today. This one apparently came damaged.
That's not good.
What can you do? Usually my shop's really good about catching like if my issue that they got for me is damaged, and they'll like replace it, but they didn't catch this little spine tick right here. I don't know if you can see it, but it's looking at it, my eye goes directly to it. But yeah, I've kind of been stacking these up for like when I'm in a Star Wars mood.
That's very fair. I mean, that's kind of,
it also just helps lighten my load throughout the week.
That's fair too. You kind of taking a page out of my book, because that's how I approach Star Wars, of just being like, I'm going to get real, like when Ahsoka comes out, that trailer looks pretty good. So, yeah. So when that comes out, I imagine that I'm going to be like, let's read some Star Wars, hopefully they have do they have an Ahsoka series running at the moment?
For comics? Not that I'm aware of. I honestly, I haven't been paying super close attention to Star Wars lately.
Sure.
Which is
I'll check, because I'm like, why would they not be making that? That goes back to my whole thing about like, these guys have such access, have such great, have access to such great properties, but they're not utilizing like them in comic form, you know?
Yeah.
But
I do know why though. Like I'm kind of like I'm not off the bandwagon of Star Wars. I'm just tired of like, because I used to watch all these different like creators, like YouTube creators, do their videos and whatnot, and just like the comment sections are always just so terrible, and I just didn't want to be a part of that like community anymore. So I just like, and since I've stopped like watching Star Wars related content, I just haven't been keeping up with the comics even. So, but
that's fair.
I'll catch up one of these days.
The worst thing about Star Wars is definitely its fan base, which is unfortunate, you know?
Yeah. Next up, I got something that our pal Kyle got as well, and he's pretty stoked on it. If you listen to the latest episode of Comic Book Lair, he had mentioned it.
I do believe I did.
But In Hell We Fight #2 came out. I really, really loved issue 1.
I saw a different cover of that where it was just the boy with the tomahawk in his head.
Oh, yeah.
I really love that one. Like that almost made me pick it up because it was just I really like the art on it.
And then I got a let's see here, Liquid Kill #6 that came out. I'm one issue behind on that because I've been trying to play catch up.
Sure.
And I'm this was kind of surprised. I should have like watched him, but so I had asked my shop to like stop pulling a lot of Star Wars titles. One that I wanted to keep going with was Darth Vader, but then they stopped showing up in my box, and I was like, whatever. But I got the new Darth Vader today for some reason in my box, but it's fine. I like it.
Yeah,
we got Vader and Aphra and the killer droids in the back.
There you go. Well, hey, I mean, maybe you can put this to the monk theory that like any comic should be. This isn't a monk theory. This is like comic practice, like 101. Is that like any comic
like fundamentals,
right? Like any comic should be approachable and readable, and like you should be able to understand what's happening. You know?
Yeah. So
any comic is everyone's first.
I'll get the digital copy in my Marvel library, and I'll read it at some point.
Good call.
And then I got 2 more. Got Emma Kubert's Stoneheart #5. This has just been a fun, enjoyable fantasy series. Just been a lot of build up and a lot of really good world building and just character building. So I'm looking forward to that one. And then lastly, so everybody already knows how I feel about these characters, I think, for the most part. But I've also just been hunting for all of their crossovers, as many as I can get. I'm trying to find all the crossovers I can for these guys. And it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Stranger Things.
Oh, I was wondering if you were going to pick that up. I saw that on their shelf, and I'm like, that's a very interesting crossover.
There was like 3 things I didn't ask for today that I was really hoping my shop would have. I thought the chances of one of them were pretty high, but it wasn't there. It was Sirens of the City out by Boom Studios.
No, I don't know that one. Boom. I looked at my Boom shelf and I didn't see that.
Yeah, so Ross actually reached out to me this morning, I think, and just said, told me to see if I can pick it up. So that's something I might look for on Frank's Coffee and a Comic with a couple other things. But yeah, that's all I got this week.
Oh, man.
Which, that's a pretty good stack.
Yeah, that's not so bad. That seems more that seems more like what you've been doing, and seems more standard for you, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. But yeah, man. So what'd you get into this week? I know we got one thing we both want to talk about.
Man, I think we need to talk about it because I don't know. I messaged you and I said how I felt about this, and then I didn't really hear much back from you about how you felt about it, but I am very curious. But I will say for you, well, we should probably say what we're talking about. So, so we're talking about Swan Song #1.
I got it right here.
Look at that beautiful cover. Man. So, okay. So I just got to say it. This comic is 100% my
banger of the week.
And I would have to agree.
Yeah. This might be the first time that we've had a double banger of the week.
Double banger.
But man, this story was just like, everything you could want in a comic and more, you know?
Yeah.
Like after I finished reading it, I just kept thinking about it and just getting excited about it. And I realized reading this comic that I really love comics that make me, I guess there's like two things. I really love comics that make me think about, you know, whatever, life and whatever, and just deep thoughts and how I would be in a situation and putting myself in people's shoes. And then I like comics where I can just read and be like, haha, that's a silly fun time, you know? I like having those two extremes. And this was definitely the former of just like having me just like, my goodness, like how would I respond in this situation? I guess I didn't even talk about the premise. Do we want to set that up?
Yeah, well, so for starters, like a swan song is like a final performance, or like, you know, something before like retirement. And so like from the get-go, like it's already a pretty gripping comic just by that title, because this whole thing it's a story about endings. And so each issue is a different story about a different ending of somebody. And so this one,
I would imagine.
Yeah, and so this one follows like, you know, a boy who loves his mama and his mama's sick, but they're also living in this post-apocalyptic world.
See, I wouldn't say it's post, because I almost said that when I posted about it. I would say it's an apocalyptic world, you know, because he goes out and it's threatening.
Yeah.
You know, like it's
because the end is coming. There's
right.
there's like the countdown clock.
The thing that makes it post-apocalyptic, like this comic ends, I would say if there was an issue number 2, that would be post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
Not to spoil how this ends, but it definitely would change the outcome of society, and that's kind of the point again, because it is about endings, right?
Yeah, and so the son's just trying to offer his mom like comfort, and she really likes like Better Homes and Gardens magazine or something like that, and so he has to go out and try and find some, but like that's also a task in itself, because people know that the end is coming. So what do people stereotypically do during the end? Well, they pillage and they purge and they
panic.
Yeah. Yep. And so he's just has to get through like the muck of that. He ends up getting like stabbed one time by this kid who's trying to rob him, and the kid, he's just like, what, you only have pennies in here?
yeah And the kid apparently had, like, the doctor said, gutted a bunch of other people, you know?
Yeah.
But so there's like this how do you say it? The comic is narrated by the kid. I think his name is Brian.
I think so.
And so Brian is talking a lot about his therapist that he used to see. And so it's interesting. So Brian is obviously in therapy to kind of talk about his mother's illness and all the, you know, trauma that he's dealing with because of that. And then society ramps up, and his therapist gets trampled to death, like in an angry mob, something like that. So like it's interesting to see. It was just really cool to see like these modern psychology takes on like mental health, while like just deep in the apocalypse, you know, just being like, my therapist used to say, this is the line that really stuck out to me, was like, he's like, you worry too much about like your mother's health and it's like ruining your life. And that was the thing that really got me thinking, was just like about humans and their desire to help people, even to the extent of it, you know, being a sacrificial and like our society has definitely lost that as like a value, you know. And it's like, well, you need to think about your own happiness, and I do believe that that's true. But like and he's like, it's my mom, like what else do you want me to do? And then thinking about that mixed with like how I would respond like in an apocalyptic society was just like, my God, you know, like it's just the way that it was all presented, and like the combination of everything was like top notch, like chef kiss 1,000 chefs kissing 1,000 chefs, you know. I wish I would have said 1,000 chefs kissing 1,000 lobsters. I don't know why, but
no, that would have worked out real well.
Yeah, thanks.
But yeah, no, like seriously a great issue. W. Maxwell Prince, who's known for Ice Cream Man, which
and King of Nowhere.
If you've never read Ice Cream Man, like that's something definitely worth getting into. That's something I checked out from the library, and I'm not fully caught up because my library doesn't have all the volumes just yet, but I've read at least the first 3-ish. So, but I really enjoy that. And then the art's done by Department of Truth's Martin Simons, or is Simmons. I guess it'd be Simmons. There's 2 M's. But yeah, Department of Truth, that's a pretty crazy story that I also checked out from my library and read.
Dude, but how good is this art?
Yeah.
Like, can you get better than that? You know, like, I wanted to make sure that this wasn't the same person who did Behold Behemoth, because it's very similar. But boy, do I love that, like, scratchy. It looks like somebody drew it on like a high school desk. You know? Like, and I like that. That makes me sound like it's a high schooler doing it, but that's not what I mean. It's just raw and like edgy, and it just fits the tone of this comic so well. Like, I was thinking when I was reading it, it's like, man, they did a good job of, like, because we talked to a lot of we've talked to a fair share of comic creators, and seeing how they like interact with their artist, like they just did like such a good job, to the degree that I'm worried that like the next in the series won't be, because of that, because of how I won't love it as much, because of, how much I love the art and how much the art really carried this comic, because I believe like each issue's a different artist.
Yeah. So the next artist up for issue 2 is Casper Wingard.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with him.
Okay, so I'm looking. He did Homesick Pilots, which I really love as well. So never mind, I'm back in. He'll probably do a really good job.
But yeah, so this next one is about the end of a marriage, apparently.
Great.
And
that'll be good for the recently engaged.
Yeah, the cover looks pretty rad though too, because they're both in their armor. So I'm guessing this takes place back in like medieval times, but her armor looks more like. I don't know. That's weird. I don't know. I'm excited to get into that one when it comes out. That one comes out August 9th. So,
well, hey, maybe it's like a metaphor. Their armor. They just finished a divorce, so like they're just like their armor's up. And I learned recently that I could do this on our little thing here that we do live. Sorry if you're not watching. Hold on. Oh my goodness. Oh, I screwed up. Shouldn't have mentioned. But yeah, there. So just so you can see that we're talking about here at home. If you're watching, that's the cover.
I did not know you could do that.
Yeah, I just learned that today. So yeah, that looks great. So yeah, like I said, I'm totally going to be in, because just looking at that cover alone, like I'm sold. So
yeah,
I'm so stoked, because this feels like it's filling that like the silver coin void. Like,
oh yeah,
that's like. I just want good stories, and we say this all the time. Like, the reason that we're into comics is because of the tales that they tell. And so just getting good one, like good after good with great art, I'm in. Sign me up. I'm gonna ride this train all the way to the North Pole and not look real.
But yeah, so yeah, that was definitely a banger of the week for me. It was a banger of the week for you. If you haven't hopped on Swan Songs, I dare you to do it. You won't be disappointed. Promise.
I mean, I will say, trigger warning, if you have like currently someone in your family who's sick, or like you're depressed, like this is a sad comic, but it was beautiful. I think it did handle things very well. Yeah. But yeah, well, hey, do you want to get into something, or do you want me to get into something? I have a coin here. Do you want to flip? I literally have a coin here.
But I'm not there. How can I trust that you're being honest?
I'll show it to the camera. Just trust me, baby.
Okay, let's do it.
All right.
You want me to
call it? Yep.
All right.
Oh, flip. Tails. Oh, I knew that was going to happen. All right. Here it is. Let's see what it is. Oh, it's heads. All right. That was really exciting. And I also knew that I wasn't going to catch it. So yeah, I'll go first.
I don't have coordination.
Yeah. Well, I'm nervous. I'm live online. There's, people watching. The fate of the podcast depends on this flip. Yeah. So I will talk about Hairball. issue number 4. And as far as I know, this is the end of this arc. But I also felt like how they ended issue number 3 could have been the end of this arc as well. So like, I don't want to be like, this is definitively the conclusion, because that doesn't, I'm worried about that. I should have looked into that. But anyways, let's say up to this point into the series, I'll talk about it, how I feel. The first 2 issues, I think, were like some of my favorite comics that I might have read so far this year. Like, insofar as just being original and unique and like nothing like supernatural, but it just felt like so grounded and normal. Like, you know, we're reading The Nasty, and that's kind of like, it's very normal, but it's very like cartoony, and like the nature is very like how they interact with each other is very fun and like kind of bubbly, even though there's like this serial killer kind of just lurking in imaginations. This is just kind of all very like grounded. And the first 2 issues, like, I've talked about this with other comics. The one that I always think about is Caffeinated Hearts, where the comic feels very much like a poem.
So good.
And the first 2 issues of this felt very much like that. And then the last 2 issues feel like somebody like lost the rhythm of the beat. You know what I mean? Like, because the first 2 issues had such a good pacing to them of just like, everything was done in like 4 panels, and they didn't really lose that. But the rhythm to it felt off to me. Like, it started trying to interject more than like, I think, like, so at the beginning of the arc, it was very just kind of stoic and like just very short and very simple, and then things started getting more complicated. So the premise of this is that there's this family who adopt a girl, and on the day that they adopt the girl, there's this little black cat out front. I forget what the name of the cat. I'm sure I could find it if I look through it, but it's not super important. The cat turns out to be like, issue number 3, we find out that it's some sort of demigod from like the Egyptians' time, and it's just been living, and they don't know that obviously. Right. You know, I will say like how they show that so they show like how this cat kind of became like this demigod, and it's cool, but it doesn't feel like it fit this like very grounded and very poetic, like even like, you remember when we read like a silver coin, those feel very like poetic, and like they're very short, and like just telling like allowing the art to do a lot of the storytelling, you know. Whereas this, I feel like towards the end, it started to get too like esoteric and wanted to try to explain like how this cat became possessed, and it just became too muddled. That being said, the art again carried a lot of this comic for me, because I just loved looking at it, because it just felt like, again, like water paint, or like something very surreal or even dreamlike. So the comic was an enjoyable experience, even though I kind of feel like they fumbled the landing. I really liked what they were going for, but I feel like there would be like a more subtle way to, you know, throw that out there and to work with that. But, you know, if they keep this going, it ended kind of on a weird way that they're like, it's not really much of a spoiler, because it's not so much about the destination, it's the journey, you know. This is very much so one of those comics, but like how it ends is like they're off to fight crime together, it seems like. And anytime a comic ends with like, well, off for more adventures, I'm like, that just seems like a gate, like just like the easiest way to set up a volume 2, you know. Instead of just trying to think of like a more interesting or clever way. And again, I'm not trying to be super negative on this comic. I would 100% say that this is a comic that you should read in a trade paperback, because I think you could blow through it pretty easily and enjoy it like the whole way through, you know?
Right on. So, I think I asked my shop to give me the trade, so.
Yeah.
Oh, so if I haven't yet, I will be, because it's part of my plan of more trades this year. Well, yes, but overall, you liked it. You just
I would definitely like suggest
the ending just wasn't as good as the opening.
Yeah, I would say I would love to engage in dialogue about this. So, you know, reach out to us wherever you would do that normally, and I would, you know, let us know what you think. Because again, I don't think it's a bad comic. I just feel like, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but I feel like the rhythm just got lost towards the end. You know. trying to do a little too much, but totally enjoyable. Definitely buy the trade paperback. That's what I have to say about that.
Cool.
So,
well, you mind if I dive into one now?
Yeah, the floor is all yours, handsome.
All right. So this is one I've been waiting for a while, because I wanted to hop on it when it was going, and then I missed it, and then I was kind of just deciding, do I want to get the trade paperback or not? And sorry, I showed it, but I didn't say it. But this is called Trojan. It's put out by AWA, and it's done by Daniel Kraus. And the art is done by Lacey, singular name Lacey.
Okay,
that's cool.
Yeah,
colored by Marco Lesko, lettered by Sal Cipriano, and the cover artist, I guess, for this was Jeff Deckel. But this was just like a really fun, like, read. But it's also, I posted about it, and I said, like, it really isn't for like the faint of heart, because it does have to deal with like humanity and just not really being able to limit our desires. And so there's like the Fae, people of fairyland, of fantasy, they've lived among humans for a while. And then it all just went south from there, and like the humans outnumbered them, and they were afraid of the Fae because the Fae have mystical powers and they're mystical creatures, and so they started to like deplete them. And this one gal who's the main story, I don't remember the name off the top of my head.
I'm so good at that.
She goes to go see this like guy who's can get you anything. Like, he's a part of the dark web. He knows how to get into certain dark web sites and get you whatever you want. And she wants to, because this is also in a tough world, similar to like Swan Song. It's not approaching apocalypse, but it's approaching some other culminating event. And she wants to put herself on the dark web being killed. Because it'll get her enough money to help her mom, who just has hospital bills and surgeries that need to be taken care of, but they don't have the money for. And so that's how she convinces this guy to hook her up with a guy named, I think his name is Kraus. And he's like the main antagonist that's kind of lurking in the shadows throughout most of it. But her plan is, she's actually a fairy. Actually, she's actually a fury. She's a fairy that can become a fury.
What's a fury?
A fury is like a demon fairy.
Oh no, the anti-Tinkerbell.
I wouldn't say that they're actually like demons, but they're like demon-esque. Like,
sure, they're
snake hair and
malevolent.
Yeah. Oh. That's a better way to put it.
Thank you. My $3 word.
Yeah. But yeah, her whole plan though is to actually get in with Kraus so that she can like stop him and like stop all of like the bad that he puts out into the world. And she's doing this for her people, the Fae, so that they can start living among humans again and like come out of the shadows, because they're all like hidden in the woods and in hiding and whatnot. And so the whole thing about her mom was a lie. That was just like what she told this guy. But yeah, it's not like overly gory, but there's just some like scenes that I would say are like, yeah, not for the faint of heart. I don't know if I can show this one on here, so I'm not going to. Man,
what are you trying to look up?
I'm just trying to find a good panel to show you, because I did enjoy the art. Well, here's a good one. Here's her as a fairy getting photographed before she goes to get
that looks familiar. Can you tell me who did the art on that?
It was Lacey.
Oh right, yep, you did tell me that.
That's all it says. I'm not familiar with Lacey, but I really enjoyed the art. Dialogue throughout was just like pretty heavy hitting. Like, it was just there's not many panels that don't have dialogue going on. But it was also just like, it was enticing. Like, I couldn't take my eyes off the page. I had to take breaks reading it because it is a trade, but overall I really, really enjoyed it. Ross, thanks again for encouraging me to like go for it. And
nice.
Yeah, if anybody else read it,
I will say that definitely is like it does seem up much more up your alley. Good on Ross for knowing us and what we like.
Yeah. Ross is like our other comic shop guy that knows what we like and can recommend good things.
Yeah.
And if you need a good recommendation, I'm sure Ross would be happy to give it to you.
Yeah, I would love to know that. What is like Ross's well, here, we'll throw this out to everybody. If somebody asked you, I want to read a comic, give me a comic to read. What is the comic that you should get into? I would love to know everyone's opinion on that, what their first is. Even if you're, throw it in the comments, we'll check into that. But do you mind if I dive into a comic, pal?
Do it.
Do it. All right. So I have been enjoying this series since it first came out, and I don't believe that there's really been a time when I haven't been enjoying it, but it's never like shown to the front as like my favorite, most like best comic I've ever read. But the comic that I'm talking about is I Hate This Place. So this is issue number 10, and I do believe that this is the end for now. It was kind of left on a cliffhanger, but again, it wasn't like as vague. Like there weren't like at the end, it wasn't like let's go off and have more adventures, but it was pretty much almost that, So I'll forgive them on that because the rest, like, just I will say that one of my favorite things about this comic has been the characters, because they just continue to introduce just really fun in how they look and how they talk and how they interact characters. So, we talk a lot about stories and themes on this podcast and not so much like dive into character studies, but this was just really interesting. Dive into characters and like how they each like choose to survive this crazy world that they're in, and the motives are all very clear. Nobody is like doing anything.
I'm trying to remember because I read issue 1 and then I decided not to stick with it, but basically what happens in issue 1 is the two main characters.
Do you mind getting a little closer to your mic?
Oh yeah. So the two main characters, one of them has like an inheritance or something to take care of, and so she heads out to this like family place, but then she's told that she shouldn't have come there by her like dying aunt or something like that.
Maybe. Well, I believe it is her dying aunt's. So it is a lesbian couple. They inherit a farm from one of their aunts who has passed away. They get a note that warns them about it when they get there. I think that's probably what you're thinking about.
Yeah.
The note like tells them like don't leave the house after night. Because I guess I didn't really explain the premise, but all that happens. They are on this farm that's like in the middle of nowhere, and it's cursed. So at night there's like spooky, like ghosts are there and aliens are there. And in this arc, so the first arc is very much focused on like how like them getting there and what it is, and then the like what the farm is insofar as like the weird things that happen there. And then the second issue is very much kind of explaining like the phenomenons that are happening, and they kind of explore that. So it's a very solid like 2-issue. Like I would love it if they left it just at this, unless they have like, no, I would love to see more, but I think that this is a really good cap, because I feel like they did a really fun first arc of just being like, this is all the crazy stuff that could happen. And then in the second arc, they kind of explained, everything that, the reason that the farm was why it is. And I just feel like that was, and I definitely agree with our buddy Eric here, who says Kyle Sparks is killing it lately. Between Where Monsters Lie, this, and Peacemaker, dude is on a roll. I didn't know he was on Peacemaker. Maybe I should get on that. I'm tempted by that character, but not because of any other reason than the movie, or the television. Yeah. So I Hate This Place has just been, a through and through enjoyable ride. So I would definitely recommend jumping on it and taking that ride. It's a lot of fun.
Nice. I may have to watch for that to come available on like Comixology or something.
Right. Yeah. So
Peacemaker Tries Hard is what he's referencing.
yep.
I only got issue 1. I thought I told my shop I wanted all of it because they usually ask me, do you just want issue 1? And I usually only say that with Marvel things, like, yes, I just want issue 1, but most other things, I don't know. I don't know where the confusion was, but I don't even know if issue 2. I'm assuming issue 2 came out because it's been a while since issue 1 came out. But I will get my hands on it.
Let us know. But any of the comics you want to shout out or review? I kind of did 2 reviews. You can do another review if you'd like. You can do whatever you want. I'm not.
Yeah, I mean,
anybody.
I don't have like a lot to say about the rest of what I did this week. I read, everything that's up here behind me. You can see most of it. What can't you not see? So
I can see it all. If you want to, well, I can see.
I already showed this one. So Eternus number 5, I read, really enjoyed. Got issue 6 here in the pile. Hunt Kill Repeats just next here to All 8 Eyes. Hunt Kill Repeats been really fun. I've really been enjoying reading that alongside reading Eternus because it's a lot of the same characters.
Okay, that's fun.
Because it's the Greek gods, and so it's just it's been fun going through both of those series at the same time. All 8 Eyes has been a really fun series. I think Kyle's maybe reading that as well.
Okay.
And what else is up here? Neighbors 4 came out, I think, was that last week? 2 weeks ago? Well, I finally got to read that. Another great issue to this series. And I went on a whim and got a Power Rangers Unlimited, the Coinless. I feel like there's some backstory that I need to know to it, but as we discussed earlier, like, you should be able to get a complete feeling out of any comic. And I did. I enjoyed that one as well. So
nice.
Good. But other than that, like, I'm excited to get into what I have coming up this week. And I don't even know. Is there anything coming out next week that you're excited about?
No, but I do have some that I can. I'll shout out some this week. I talked about that. I was gonna do a post about this. Ended up not doing it. E-Junkie from Scout Comics. I enjoyed it. I don't think it was like my favorite thing. So the premise is that this is like a future. It seems very derivative, and I hate saying that because it sounds very negative. But a lot of the things that are in here, it just seems like it came too late, because a lot of the stuff that I'm reading here, I'm like, oh, Clear did this, or some like another comic, and I hate that because I don't like comparing it, because there are themes and like things become very hot at a time. And there is just like a collective mind that we're all just like, let's talk about future VR things. And speaking of, like, there was the same thing with Mosley. Like, that's what this is. Mosley is a future like tech-based thing, so it's very similar. But just so it's E-Junkie. What I thought initially was that E-Junkie meant like that you were like a junkie for like electronics, but the E actually stands for experiences. So it's like they're going into these, people are selling alternative states of reality. And they, like, the people are going out and looking for these fixes. And so like that's what the E-Junkies are just people that are willing to explore like these new alternative realities that people can like give themselves into. And this is how it's similar to Clear, is that like people kind of wear them all the time, and like they essentially like balance out like your dopamine and like serotonin meter, and essentially make it sure that you're like everything you see makes you happy. Like you're not seeing anything unpleasant, but then like a banner breaks and they see like the chaos of the world. So like it is very, again, like it's similar to Clear, but I'm not gonna let that sway me, because it could go in a different direction. They could be doing different things with it. And I've just like really like the art. Like the art inside is very similar to Know Your Station, which another thing I really loved. I like how the people look in the world. They just have like very squinty eyes, probably because they're like, well, that's a bad example, but like you can see
that's like grimly popping.
Yeah, and it does a good job of being like very gritty, but also like very very cartoony and very whatever. But yeah, it was good. I'm trying to figure out my relationships with like digital comics and physical comics. So I'm tempted to, like, when I see that comes out, I might just buy it digitally. And if it's good, like, I'll buy number 3 if that's good, and then, like, maybe I'll start, go back and buy the issues or wait for the trade or something like that. Because I just need to take up space, because it's going to be one of those days that I open a door and a comic box just falls on my head and takes me out, which would be, I'm fine if that's how the Lord wants to take me. But
sounds like you need an outlet to get rid of some of your comics.
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, I'll sell them to you. Go, you can have them all you want. But yeah, so and Mosley wrapped up as well. I was kind of down on this series for a little bit, but this issue, I think, wrapped, like, it saved it for me. It was kind of feeling a little bit of the opposite of how it was for Hairball. So, well, that's not true. Let's next that, because it's nothing like Hairball. I really enjoyed it at the beginning, and then it kind of dipped in the middle, and then this issue, I just felt like it delivered. Like, it didn't answer everything, but I also didn't feel like it needed to, because I like living in the world where the people are also kind of like what just happened. Mosley is a story about this guy who, when he was young, he worked on this AI program, kind of getting AI, like, inputting human emotional data into AI, and then oh no,
everything's fine.
Those things ended up essentially taking over the world by, like, enslaving everyone, by making them, like, addicted to modifying themselves and replacing parts of their body with technology. And then this guy Mosley, who was, again, he was in this a part of this experiment when he was younger. He gets his hammer, like, out of nowhere, and they don't really explain how or why he got this mystical hammer. And I think that that's really cool, again, because of just, like, you don't need to explain everything. You can just leave the world empty and kind of just hanging out there. So that was all that I got into this week. I didn't get into as much as I would like to, because I do have a lot of, like, good comics that I want to read, but just trying to make time for it.
Yeah. And, like, I think another thing to me, just in terms of digital, it's like, it's hard for me to read digital when I have a stack I need to get through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair.
Because it's just like they're there, and I'd rather just get through those. But I do enjoy reading, like, digital comics. I really enjoy, like, Guided View.
See, I don't like Guided View. Well, I have on some comics. There was a Deadpool comic back in, like, the 2015 time that was like, specifically made for Guided View, and, like, that, so it was, like, stuff swung in and, like, was a lot more fun of a time. But yeah, I have a 10-inch Amazon tablet, so, like, I can see a whole page on it, and I really enjoy that. It's like, it feels like a comic.
There are some comics that just the Guided View is pretty bad on, and so I don't do all of them, but, like, the ones that it works for, I enjoy it, just because you get to take in, like, the whole panel.
And in the way that, like, I mean, how many times have this has happened to every person who's ever read a comic, is, like, you're reading, like, there's something, like, there's tension building, and then, like, you open a page, and, like, clearly, like, in the bottom right, like, there's, like, a violent, like, explosion of blood or, like, something like that, and you're, like, pretending that you don't see it,
you're trying not to look at it.
Right, you're like, oh, that character's no longer with us in a page and a half. So yeah, well, hey, do you want to throw on our VR goggles and simulate riding a horse into town?
Heck yeah. But first, I'll shout out, like, if you're in my town, if you're in Corvallis and you find yourself downtown and you stop by 1972, if you mention this podcast and you want to get some comics, you'll get, what did I say last week? 10% off?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, hop in, say hi. My wife's there, and she's actually trying to, like, she's been going through the comics and finding covers that she likes and posting about them. So you can also follow her now at 1972 if you'd like to see.
She's officially a comic book. She's officially a pull box pal.
Yeah, exactly. But other than that, you can find us on all the socials. We are obviously on YouTube if you're watching right now, and Facebook Live, and Twitch.
You can
like all those things. Subscribe. And you can find us both on Instagram. We have our main account, the pullboxpals, at the pullboxpals. You can see it scrolling down there at the bottom. You can find me at Matt_nerdy, and you can find Monk at that Monk guy. And we love chatting comics, so hit us up.
We really need to get a Discord. We've been dropping the ball on that one, because I think that would be a lot of fun to have all of our pals in one place. I mean, you can also make groups on Instagram now, so we should actually probably do that as well. So maybe we'll send out that week, this week. Just hang out, man. You know how social media works. It's always changing. Like, stuff's coming and going.
And you can hang out on social media like whenever you want. So
whenever you want. Wow.
And also, speaking of that, you can also find us on TikTok. We've been a little more active over there lately as well. Just posting some clips from the shows and posting our poll lists and stuff like that. So,
and I guess we got to get on Threads.
I'm on Threads.
I'm not yet.
I got on Threads because of Frank.
Good old coffee and a comic. All right. Well, hey, I think it's like I said, time to ride this horse into town. It's great chatting with you, buddy. It's always good to be. I love going to the comic shop, seeing my buddy Andy there, and I love coming and talking to you, and even seeing my guys at the comic shop. It's just always a good time.
Always.
So, as they say in some parts of the world, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. And in other parts of the world, they say, I haven't read comics like these in years.